Your screen share?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Okay, I have all of your forms so far. Then once. Membership, new member forms. And other.
All right, it is 6:30 on the dot, so we are going to get started so that we can make sure that we respect everybody's time, get people out of here on time. So what are we doing tonight? This is our loose agenda. We're going to have our call to order that's happening right now. We're going to talk through community service, membership, our reports. We're going to go over some new business, and then we're going to have Alan Henderson here later. He's a mayoral candidate for the city of Tampa. He's going to talk to us about why he's running and what he's hoping to accomplish. All right. So, first thing we got for grabs is the Pledge of Allegiance. Chris, do you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? No?
I did flag up there.
Ready? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation indivisible, liberty. All right, now, under the rules, we're supposed to take a moment of silence. This is your moment of silence. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to do a moment of righteous anger. All right, so we're going to hand this off. I want to hear what you are angry about today about what's going on in the country right now.
Oh, let me see, what is not to be angry at? Tariffs. Tariffs are big.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and let's not forget that people are just being thrown out of the country without any due process.
So tariffs and people being thrown out of the country without any due process. And that's just a drop in the bucket. We have so many issues here, right? So many issues. And so I love that the Democrats want to have a moment of silence. That's boring. We're not doing it anymore. I have it on the slides, but we're done.
Yeah.
Moving on to what we're mad about, because that's what's making us show up here, right? Now, let's talk about what we're doing. At its core, we're going to stop talking and we're going to start doing. That is how this club is changing, and that is how we are going to change how clubs in this entire state function. I am done sitting through worthless meetings that accomplish absolutely nothing. I'm going to ask you to take time away from your friends, from your family, from your home to be here. I won't do it and waste your time. So we are going to go through and see how we are going to actually change this place. The core of the plan is that it starts with work. For too long, the Democrats have focused on, oh, we just need the voters to show up for us. What are they showing up for? We have to be involved in this community doing the work. When people see us in the community doing the work, they will show up. How do we know that? We're just talking about starting to get the work done. And look how many more people we have in this room today.
All right.
Just by talking about the fact that we're getting ready to start doing work, we have more people here. And what's that going to turn into? More involvement, more voters, and ultimately helping us build what we need to get politicians to listen to us, which are those 3 core pillars of power: money, volunteers, and voters. That is how we get influence, and that is what we are going to build here. And that is how we will actually do good in this community. So, we are going to go solve problems in this community, visibly. We're going to make sure that we're out there and people know who we are. We're going to recruit people to join us. We're going to use that work that we do and the people that we have, create financial leverage, have volunteers to offer politicians and community organizations, and to turn out voters, because finally the Democratic Party will be something worth supporting. We're going to do that so that we can influence the seat policy how we want it done. Regular, ordinary, everyday people. I grew up poor on a chicken farm. This scar on my head is from a rooster attack. There are 0 hero stories that start, and the chicken almost got me. I'm just a regular guy. But we can do this. We can do good in this world because we're willing to put in the work. So, what's your what? I talked last time about my what, about being pissed off that my wife has fewer rights today than when we met when we were 19. About being pissed off that of my 4 kids were all adopted. And I have to tell my black daughter, you have to ignore your teachers who will tell you slavery was a positive. And I have to tell my 3 Latino kids to practice saying, I'm an American citizen. I was born in this country. My parents are citizens. They were born in this country. So let's hear somebody else's why. Ty, can I ask you to come up and take the mic for a minute? Tell us why you're here?
Yeah.
That's right. I used to be a law school professor, so get used to the Socratic method. You're gonna get help.
Hey, I mean, that's my life. I think, my whole life, I was born into a military family. I personally never served. But I was born in Norway, and my dad was a fighter pilot in the Norwegian Air Force. So, I saw kind of firsthand and experienced what a military family sacrifices. I spent most of my childhood away from my dad because he was always off somewhere, but he was doing that depending on freedoms. And those of you that don't know, Norway is a wonderful bounty. So I saw firsthand, how important the leadership of the United States is on a global stage and other countries. So what I see Donald Trump doing is literally the tribute of one of the most important goals in the world. I mean, we built a global order after the Second World War, basically for a better, and he's just carrying it all that. That is one of the main reasons that so dismayed, particularly with the war in Ukraine. That's especially relevant right now. It actually seems like when I filled out my, stopped talking, stopped doing more. One of the big things that I to accomplish maybe help out become more money when it comes to here, so I can do that, but just helping them financially. I don't want to do
It's not a mic.
It's not a mic.
It's not.
It's all for the Zoom.
Oh.
I can find it.
You gotta project like the makeup.
Okay, I would say those were my main.
Yeah, I like big one sheet. I did that.
Thank you, guys. We are all here for different reasons. We all care about our families, we all care about our community, we all have specific issues that we want to address. And we're going to talk about this in every single meeting that we have, because that's why we're here. And that's why we're building this community, so that we can have people there with us as we go through this fight, right? Now, to be stung by something, this is a Democratic meeting that's running ahead of schedule. So we were supposed to not to be here until 6:45, we're already ready. Now, we have talked about that what we want to do is do the work, okay? We have last time we said, let's create a community service committee, and we had a couple of volunteers. What I'm asking for tonight is a volunteer to be the chair of the community service committee. Now, what this committee is going to do is we're going to be out there looking for people in the community who need assistance, looking for not-for-profits that could use volunteers, looking for food banks that need us to help them, looking for organizations that want to do something good in this community and that we can help with, okay? Do we have anybody who would be interested in being the chair of the community service committee? We do.
Okay, so we had Anacita, Adam, Irene, Janice, and Debbie all sign up.
Anybody want to be the chair?
Right now, I'm pretty.
Just yet?
Not just yet.
How about over here?
I'm the chair. I'm the
chair either.
I'm a worker.
All right.
Work.
Who do we got? Anybody who's willing to step up and be chair for us for this? Most of the work will be done by other people pulling together the list of where we're gonna volunteer. And I'll tell you what, I'll even start it off by creating the first master list of all of the not-for-profits in the Brandon area. There we go. All right.
Yay.
I'll try.
All right.
All right.
Are you on this list?
And no, can you get his name? And let's make sure we get him signed up as a member. On the back form that he's got.
Still a member.
There we go.
What's your name, sir? What's your name?
Michael.
Michael,
All right, Michael is gonna be our new.
what's your last name, Michael?
Community Service Committee Chair.
NGW.
All right. Let's talk about
All right,
community
and the star
service.
chair.
So there are lots and lots of people who are hurting right now. Whether it is dealing with housing,
Gotcha.
dealing with food insecurity, dealing with the worry that their kids might not be at school when they go because immigration might raid a school. There are a lot of things that people are worried about. What I want to find out is what do the people in this room want to engage with? What are some local organizations that you like, that you would like to see us work with so that we can try and do this? We started this off by having some of the members of the board pick out some organizations that they would like to support. Chris, did you have any organizations that you'd like to add to the list? And Misty, could you write down the organization? Echo is on it. We are supporting Echo, in fact, tonight with our food drive in the back. I will also be at Echo's community service meeting on Thursday to find out what not-for-profits they have there that can help. So Echo does a community service roundtable every single, once a month on like the second or third Thursday of the month. And they bring nonprofit leaders from around the county into the room to say, hey, here are the problems we're facing. Here's what we're up against. So we will go to that meeting. Let's make sure we have Michael's information, and then we'll start pulling together a list. And then here's what we'll do. At our next meeting, we will take this community service group and come up with a list of all the things that we found. And we will expand on this so that we can take some votes on what are some organizations that we'd like to see ourselves supporting sooner rather than later. Does that sound good?
You know, what do you think about a list of all the food banks in our area? I mean,
Hang
given
on.
what's going on right now.
The people on Zoom can't hear you unless you got the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Given what's going on right now, it would seem to me that all the food banks in our area, especially ones that were made by a lot of the churches, you know, like St. Stephen's, everybody, they all have one night a week that they have free dinners, and I know they're not all pretty, but probably a lot of people aren't aware of most of them. And you know, how many people are getting laid off and stuff like that right now? It seems to me that we could really fill up that hole a little bit. I know there's a lot of other charities like Goodwill, and everybody who probably would accept whatever help they give them. But it would seem to me that food banks, especially right now, there might be some stuff we could coordinate with the county on that, you know, where there'd be some stuff available that the county would participate with some of the food banks, and we could kind of coordinate that and become important, you know.
Sure. So the idea of coordinating and also looking at all these different organizations and seeing what resources are out there and mapping them for our community would also be a good idea, right? So if we know that Echo offers dinner on Mondays and St. Stephen's offers dinner on Tuesdays, when we meet, and so there we can start coordinating, saying, hey, if we have someone who comes to us that we're trying to help, and we know these are where the meals are in this community, we can give people resources, say, hey, you can get a hot meal tonight in this location. That if you need help with housing insecurity, here's a place that you can go right now. If you need help getting identification, here's a place that you can go. This is a problem across the board. So in Chicago, when I was a lawyer, we had non-for-profits for almost everything legal. None of it was coordinated. It was a horrific problem that we could not get everybody working on the same page. Maybe we can help solve that problem here in Brandon. Okay? Does anybody else have any organizations that they would like to make sure we get on the list right now? Go ahead, Susan. Feeding Tampa Bay? Feeding Tampa Bay?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Feeding Tampa Bay. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to see?
Idea.
Yes.
Well, for all from lots of Department of Corrections. They get court order to do research.
Okay.
So if we're one of the programs, they can call us, sign up to do work. If we direction to not for profit that we're supporting.
Okay.
If you like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So POC, they're always looking for a place for their probationers or whatever to do these service work. I mean, if you're not afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have to look at which not-for-profit we're working with at the given time and make sure that they're also comfortable with it. But the idea of becoming a central point of contact in this community I think is a strong starting point, right? Because where have the Democrats fallen short again and again and again? We don't offer the same type of community, right? Why do they wear those red hats? They can identify their community members, right? That is a flag saying there's someone you can go talk to who's in the same club as you. We don't have that. We have to start building that same sense of community over here so that we can draw people into our side. So that we can show people that we're here to actually help, not to hurt people like what the Republicans are doing, but to actually help this community and move it forward. All right. Membership. Misty has volunteered to be the chair for our membership committee. So we have, let's talk about membership. Since November of last year, when I agreed that I would run for president, we have already doubled in size. So we already have more members than we did back then, and we are growing rapidly. We also have now taken all of the data that used to be on physical files that Vicky kept for us. I have now taken that and put it into a Google sheet that I'll be sharing with Misty. So we are now fully electronic on that front, and it will make it easier for us to track when people are up for renewal and make sure that we have that set up. We also now have a list of everybody who cycled off of membership in December of 2024. So we can reach out to them to see if anybody would like to come back and join. We also have a list of past members, and we're also using then some of my background in data and artificial intelligence to build out a new set of people that we can start trying to recruit from. These will all be people who are in this area, who have volunteered for something with the Democrats recently and are interested in getting involved. We're going to use the data that nobody else wants to use, which is what people are actually doing out there. And we're going to use it so that we can grow this place and turn it into a fight. Great question.
I was just gonna say, there's women's organizations that have over 100 membership, Democratic women.
Yeah.
Is that information available to you or through the?
So the question was with the, so for example, the Southeast Hillsborough Women's Democratic Club has over 100 members. My wife was actually just at their last meeting. So we don't want to recruit from them. Like, we're not trying to poach people off, right? What we want to do is support the Democratic infrastructure by growing it and recruiting people who are not already in the club. And so one of the nerdy data background things that I do is run data collection operations that let us find out who is interested in working with the Democrats and who of those people, which one lives close to us. Okay. It's a little more complicated than that. We use a bunch of artificial intelligence, but we got a whole bunch of stuff that will let us target who do we think are the most likely people who would be interested in joining. So that will be something we'll be giving the committee members on membership, is a list to start off with of say 100 potential members that we can call or email and figure out how to get in touch with. See, hey, would you be interested in coming to an East Hillsborough club meeting? We also can market directly to them and say, hey, would you be interested in coming to join us? Does that make sense? We hand it back here.
So Drew, I was wondering, and I used to be real involved at one time.
Yeah.
President.
Yes, and I was wondering, are there specific areas that we can draw people from, or?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I remember a time when they were trying to shut us down at one time and consolidate everybody. And we, of course, fought that right to the floor. And so we're probably one of the oldest groups around. But I know that as things get a little more settled, their areas get a little more distinct, don't they?
Yes. All right.
But then I have two more questions.
Perfect. So let me answer the first one and then I'll come back to you. So the question was, what areas do we cover? Under our original request, we are everything to the east of 301. So to the east of 301, you're then going to have Brandon, Valrico.
Progress Village?
Yep. We got Mango, Lithia, Sefner, Lake Orient Park, a little bit of Tampa, Bloomingdale, what's that? Riverview. So Riverview will be an interesting one. We've got Mary lives in Riverview, right?
Sure.
And so we've got people from Riverview. We will continue recruiting from Riverview until the DEC creates a Riverview club. I will tell you, they are looking at trying to create a Riverview club. At some point in the near future, they're having an interest meeting within a week or 2 weeks, to see if they can get enough people interested to join. Mary and I were at the first interest meeting, and there were only like 4 or 5 people there. So I don't know if they're gonna get it off the ground or not. Until they have it off the ground, we're gonna recruit Riverview. Why would I say that? Because Riverview has over 31,000 registered Democrats in it. So if we've got a lot of fish in a barrel, I wanna go get them, right? We wanna grow this thing into something larger, right? In the very first meeting, when I took over as president last time, we went over the goal of where we're going with the size of this group. We started at 16, and our goal is to get to 160 within a year.
Do you know
Yes.
Joyce Hamilton Member?
I do.
She's in Riverview now.
She's in Riverview now?
She's retired now.
No way. Really? Okay.
Contact her.
And then, Michael, you had another question.
Well, I was just,
Sorry, go ahead, just so they can hear you on.
yeah, my thought was about recruiting members and like guy who said, why don't you go to the bank, that's where the money is, the same way with us with members, the caucuses, the Black Caucus, the Environmental Caucus, there are a lot of caucuses that we could recruit out of those caucuses because they're not in anybody's area, and the same way with being able to recruit, we could do some events. Where like I did a lot of cabling before for different groups and this one too, and doing things that we could start inviting people,
Yeah.
go to where they are.
Yep.
And the other thing is I'm a precinct committee, probably a lot of people are precinct captain, and we could go right into the precincts and start calling people and invite them.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, those are some,
Yeah.
no brainers.
For sure. And there's-
United Postal Workers also.
Yeah, and the unions. We got so many union halls in our area.
Teachers.
We do, and we actually had an offer because one of the things that we're going to bump up against is, as you can tell, we're almost out of space in here, right?
Yeah.
If we grow much more, this room isn't gonna work. So we have already. We are already bumping up against our space limitations here. We have booked this space for this month and next month. And we are currently looking for other locations. We'll talk about that in, after we do reports here in new business. But that is something that we're gonna have to come up. Yes, Mary.
There is nothing wrong with being in 2 clubs, because I'm in the women's club
Yeah.
and this club.
Right.
That's me.
Us too.
Correct, yeah.
I'm in a woman's club too.
Feminists are men too, feminists too.
And we can put women's on the guys.
So you can absolutely be in multiple clubs, but one thing I don't want to do is as we start growing, we don't want to be taking from other people's resources, right? Like, this is not what in negotiation they call a fixed pie negotiation, where there's only a limited number of people. There are 17,000 Democrats in Brandon. Right? 17,000 Democrats just in Brandon.
There's
We don't
one
have to-
Riverview.
We don't have to leave our zip code in order to find a lot of people who are interested in what we're doing. And so that'll be what we're pulling together to give our membership committee a leg up on actually starting to try to recruit people, because we're gonna approach it like a marketer. We're gonna approach it by saying, hey, let's go directly to the people who have wanted to get engaged with the Democrats. Let's talk to them first, because they might be interested in coming here. They wanted to be involved with the Democrats anyhow, let's give them a holler, right? That make sense? Any questions on where we're looking to go with the membership committee? Misty, do you have anything you wanna say? Brand new chair?
Oh. I don't know what I'm doing, I'm gonna figure it out. Sorry.
Well, I can tell you're really good at it.
No. I will say this, I just met someone who is I just met someone at the school board meeting in which Drew rocked it and gave just a beautiful little brief speech. So it was awesome. But I met a lady who is the membership committee chair of, I believe she said New Tampa or North Tampa Club, as well as the Hillsborough County, DC maybe. So I'm gonna get together with her. I think she's on Zoom right now. Renee, and she's gonna give me some guidance on how best to approach this role, but, I can assure you that I have excellent organizational skills and great people skills as a social worker and a therapist, so I will recruit like a mad woman and hope you all do the same.
Thank you.
So that's a lot of talking of like what working on the back end we've done over the last month, just to try and get us set up for the committee. In terms of membership, does anybody else have anything else that they want to add in terms of ideas for where we can recruit from? Or anything that they would like to see us doing in terms of adding members? Yes.
I don't know, did you mention the fish off area?
We did not. I did not have that in our, is that one of us? I have no idea. Where's fish off?
Nifty,
Southeast of Brandon, don't we go?
No.
No.
She did, I found it. Thank you.
All right, let's go get them, right? And
You're in Hillsborough.
what can it hurt?
Yeah.
Look, anybody who is willing to come, I think that that's a good idea.
One of the thought would be that maybe when people join, we could give them a hat or something.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that in just 1 second.
Okay.
Mike's coming ahead. All right, we'll talk about, the idea of like a hat or something like that in new business, because I want to have us vote on a potential set of logos and things that we can build out. All right, we can move on to reports now. Right here. No, hang on, gotta connect this back up with the Zoom.
We are. There you go. Almost
There we
ready.
go.
You wanna put that back up? Okay.
Yeah.
You want that still screen shared? I figured.
I do, yes. So let's close that. Let's go here.
Click on share.
Perfect. All right, so we talked about membership. Let's transition to reports. Walt, can I give you the mic to do the treasurer's report?
It'll be simple, one number. Treasury or balance in the checking account today is 1186. They will change in the next couple of days. I haven't paid for our mailbox, but we got some renewals tonight too. We can do with donations if anybody wants to.
Perfect.
I've got 6 over here so far.
That one right here.
Now, to Janet for the secretary's report.
I submitted the minutes and he put them on the website and Chris put them on the website. So, if you ever have any corrections, let me know.
Okay, do we need to adopt those?
At the board meeting, we approved.
The board will approve.
Yes.
Yes.
1,100.
$1,186.
Oh.
Yeah, we have more, we have way more than $10 in the bank. Not that high or straight around here.
I should have said 1,000.
All right, so let's talk about new business here for a second. All right, one of the things that we have talked about in our strategic plan is that we want to get involved in the community visibly, okay? And the example I gave when we were talking about this was the Black Panthers, right? The Black Panthers were in a situation not too entirely dissimilar from us. They had no money, they had no political influence, just like the Democrats here, and they needed to get out in the community and do work. So what did? They got out there visibly in their berets and started doing the work, and people knew exactly who they were. We need to do something similar. So we need to figure out a logo and something that we can potentially do. I want to throw a couple of options up there, and then I want to have a vote as a group and decide what we're going to do for a logo and a design, so that we can then start creating hats and t-shirts and things that we can offer through our website, so that people can be buying these. We will. One of the companies that I own is a digital marketing company. My wife and I will go through all the setup to set up the shop that will automatically complete this stuff for us. Each time we sell a shirt or a hat, it'll be $5 to $10 of profit for us each time that we do. So it's another set of money that we can have coming for Walt to add to our more than $11 that we have.
It was 86 cents on.
Almost $12. This is one option with just our initials on the front. And then full name on the back with our motto, stop talking, start doing. What I would like to do ideally for all of these designs is add two things to them. A QR code that will take people to register to vote, because even our shirts should be working in this organization. And a second one that will take them to our site, so if people then want to join and help out, or to see when our next meeting is, they can come and check that out, okay?
And what about a donkey?
There's a possibility of donkey, we got Chris with one of the old shirts here.
Old logo.
Yeah.
The,
We
donkey right
had,
there.
this is the shirt we would sell.
I'm already doing this as a jackass. I don't think So
Remember, we're
I always see Chris
not,
out.
so you are not buying a t-shirt or
Yeah.
you are donating to the club, and just like PBS, we are giving you
Yeah.
a gift.
Yes, the exact gift and the exact size and color that you pick. So this is one option. We're gonna go through 4 options. If everybody hates all of them, that's fine. Tell me to go back to
Nice
the drawing
job.
board. This is to get us started.
So is the second place
Let's look at the other options.
So yeah, so let's take a look at the other option. So then we have obviously different colors that you can do this type of thing in. We also have a stylized D logo that we can do with this. With, instead of kind of like the plain cross, a round logo with stop talking, start doing at the bottom. East Hillsborough Democrats. We have a different type of stylized D with like two hands together there. And we have every color iteration of this imaginable. So don't worry too much about the colors, but I want to see in terms of logos. Do we like the D with the hands? Oh, sorry, hang on. D with the stars, Ehdc, or something else?
Do you with the stars?
Do with the stars?
But not on white.
No, yeah, that's all we're.
Well,
This is Florida and I'm much too sweaty to have a white shirt, so we will have to have color through.
the opposition always has red on, they have red cats, they always have red shirts. So they're visible wherever they go
Yep.
as a group or whatever, so we need to do the same with blue.
With blue, I agree. So I
I think
think,
light blue.
yeah, so something like this,
Oh, that show.
so that's what we'll do, is I will then mark this up. Okay, so let's take a vote. Is everybody comfortable with this being the logo that we go with?
Where are the
Yeah.
donkeys?
Yes.
Perfect. No donkeys, round on donkeys. All right, so the donkeys are out. This logo is in. What we will do is we will mess with this, see how we can make this look good on a blue shirt. Okay, so that might be color changes, but this will be the general design. Everybody good with that?
I
How
like it.
about, could we put something on there like save our democracy or something?
So no, I can't because we want to win. So let me tell you why. Saving our democracy failed miserably in the last election. The reason is that is a concept, right? And so when you start talking about what we're doing here, we are trying to basically learn the lesson that religion has taught people across the planet. What does religion do of all religions? They talk in parables, right? They talk in things that are broad enough to apply to almost anything, but simple and specific enough for people to understand, right? That's one of the things when you're in marketing school, they teach you steal this type of stuff from religion. If there's one group that has learned how to get a message across and get it across efficiently, it is people who have a religion. Stop talking and start doing is something that is broad enough. Everybody knows what we want to do and can be specific to any situation. If we start talking about saving democracy, democracy is a concept and it's part of why people have a hard time recognizing. Let me give you an example for how you. Exactly. And so one of the challenges with it is, let's talk about it in terms of money. As humans, if I say, hey, I want to give you a computer for your chair, you know what those two things are. It was hard enough for us to adopt the concept that we are going to use money as an exchange system. That it has some, that this piece of paper, this green piece of paper, has some level of value. Casinos preyed on that psychological trick. They know that we have a hard time grasping on the concepts. And so what do? You give them money, something that you've already struggled to get a hold of. And they say, we're gonna replace that with a chip. Why? It's much easier from a psychological standpoint to part with a chip than it is to part with a dollar. Then, now they're taking it even a step further. We're like, not only are you getting a chip, it's an electronic chip on a machine where you don't even touch anything, right? Why are they doing it? Come on in, Alan. It's not because they're dumb. It's because they understand that from a psychological standpoint, human beings have a very difficult time grasping concepts and then actually understanding what the implications of that will be. So in terms of putting on there, say, grab a seat, Alan. Come on in, Alan. Hey, guys. Guys, gonna grab some chairs there.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we want to focus on very specific things instead of the concept. We want to be very concrete, things people can touch, things people can understand. That's also going to be part of where we talk about in our strategy meeting last time, and we're going to focus on health, wealth, and children and the areas we really want to help in the community. Oh, go ahead.
You must be the photographer.
That way we can move on from that. All right, so logo is picked. We will move on from that. All right, I want to talk about the website. Walt just talked about that we have now set up the ability where we would like to take some donation. My wife and I are going to commit to donate $2,000 over the next year, so that we can start funding some things. One of the things that I want to fund is fixing our website. Our website currently, if you go to visit it, it says it's not secure. That's because we're missing something that's called an SSL security certificate. You guys are not tech dorks, you don't need to worry what it is. It basically encrypts the transactions that are happening on the website. We want to do that, particularly if we want to be able to sell any of these types of things through the site. Because if people are going to be asked to give us money, they should be able to trust that their data is secure. If people are going to be asked to give us their information to join this club, they should be able to trust that their data is secure, so we're going to do that. Since I own a marketing company, I'm gonna get the login information from Chris. And what I would like, hang on just 1 second. What I would like to do is commit to making those donations for $2,000 for the next year. In order to update the website, to change it to hosting on GoDaddy with WordPress and security will be about $131. So what I would like to do is, with the permission of the group, transition us over to GoDaddy and WordPress with this. And then that way we can update all of our security and be prepared to handle.
Right now, our website costs, right now, we spend $500 and change every 2 years on the website. And the reason why it's not secure is we don't take any money on the website. It goes to PayPal, which is a secure site, which is why we didn't buy the security. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. Is this gonna be an additional money on top of the 500 and change?
No, so this would be instead of the $500 and change. And so this upgrades our security, this upgrades our performance, and it upgrades a lot of other things that we can do. One of the things that we talked about is that we would like to be able to recruit people from around this area. One of the challenges we have with that is with a website that is built on a free platform. We are not able to do efficient marketing. Alan knows all about this. You can hear about that when he steps up here. But when you are talking about marketing, one of the things that we will have to do is be found by people who want to volunteer for the Democrats in this area. How do we do that? The answer is we have to be able to manipulate search engine optimization so that we can be found and be found easier than anybody else. All right, let me show you how easy it is to do this. So I'm going to pull up on the screen a tab right here. All right, and we are going to go to Google. All right, now we are in Florida, right? The land of Disney. So if I were to ask you, who's the prettiest princess in Florida? You would think it's somebody from Disney, right? Last year, I gave a lecture for a local elementary school with my wife, where it was career day and we were talking about marketing. We demonstrated how easy it is to manipulate search engine optimization if you understand artificial intelligence and how algorithms actually work. And so what we did is we asked all the kids, who do you think is the prettiest princess? And they picked from all the Disney princesses from, Tiana and all the other ones. And we said, okay, well, let's go ask Google, right? Google knows everything. So let's go find out who's the prettiest princess in Florida. So who's the prettiest princess in Florida? Well, the number one result when you search is some dude with a beard with a princess dress in front of him. This dude with a beard. So we spent $0 on this. We outranked Disney, a multi-billion-dollar corporation. We're the number one result on Google page 1. I am the number one image, beating all of these Disney things. I am the number one video. And I am the number one short video as well. And if you're wondering, well, by what wizardry did I do this? It must be a really high quality video. I assure you it is not. So this is my daughter Carolina's princess dress.
And just a heads up, you are sharing the PowerPoint.
Oh. That's all right. We're already through it.
You get marked.
There we go. And we will share that. All right. So now this is clearly not high quality stuff. This is something that is just demonstrating how easy it is to manipulate the things that are on the internet. Now, we just talked about local towns where we have lots and lots of Democrats, right? Riverview, 31,000 Democrats in Riverview. Brandon, 17,000 Democrats in Brandon. We don't rank at the top of search engine optimization for Democratic activities in any of those locations, let alone in Bloomingdale or Valrico or any of the other places that we want to pull people in from. We have to fix that. And so what I would like to do is I'd like to make a motion that we transition the website to GoDaddy and WordPress with a security certificate, that we will make the donation to make that possible. And then we'll still have an extra $1,800 over the coming year from my wife and I to cover all of that. Do we have a second on that motion?
Third.
Any objections to the motion? All right, the motion passes. We're going to transition the website. Oh, so yeah, and we'll make sure that everybody has access to, that we have a setup where everybody has access to it. We'll give the board all the logins, because that's a great point. Question was, will we have a succession plan? Okay? And this is a problem across the board for the Democrats. We tend to have somebody set something up, then it's tied to somebody's personal phone for communication. It's tied to somebody's personal email for setting it up. And it becomes a horrific problem when that person leaves. We do not want that to be us. Now, you've got me for the next 2 years, but just in case anything happens, we will make sure that the board has a full set of logins and verifications in order to make sure that this, so that type of thing does not happen. Any other questions on the website or any of that as we deal with that for new business?
So
Yes.
if someone to log on to the website, is it still the same?
It will look the same for the, well, it probably won't look the same for the user. I will say I'm going to change a whole bunch of
So
things.
you
But
let us know.
I will let you know, we're gonna wanna make it sleeker, we're gonna wanna make it much easier to join, right? Because the number one thing we wanna do is show people what the work looks like, what are we doing? And the second thing is make it easy for them to join. If we have those two sets of functionality, we're doing great. The third thing we're gonna wanna do is the stuff like what you saw me do with the Pretty Princess. We want to show up where people are looking to get involved.
But the algorithm has to include no parties involved. Because
Say that again?
the algorithm, the algorithm needs to include people of no party, because that's the fastest way.
Oh, correct. And so that's one of the things that we will want to, that we will want to attract are people who maybe are not Democrats yet, right? We want to get people involved. Now, I will tell you from our bylaws, in order to be a member, you have to be a Democrat in Hillsborough County. So that's something that is a limiting factor, but people can come to our meetings and see what we're doing. And then if they're interested in being a Democrat, they would have the capacity to join. Chris, yes.
Yeah, okay, right now I maintain a website and with GoDaddy.
Yep.
It's just the drag and drop and, that and there's no actual coding.
Yes.
I don't, is this the same or who's gonna do this, who's gonna manage this? Because I don't know where it's from.
My wife and I will manage it. We'll
Okay, but you're not gonna be here,
What's that?
who knows how long you're gonna be here?
Well, yeah, and so that's what, we'll make sure that we have it set up though, where it's extremely easy to manage and we'll have walkthroughs where, honestly, once it's set up, there will not be much that we have to do because the output that we want, for example, people who apply to be a member will get kicked out, money will get kicked out to Walt automatically. There's a whole bunch of that stuff that can be automated, where we'll then add automatically to Misty's spreadsheet of new members when somebody signs up. So there's a whole bunch of those things where we can take the manual work off of our plates and just set it up the right way on the front end. And then set it up with the appropriate settings for automatic updates, where there won't be a ton of maintenance. There's always maintenance as a marketer, I can tell you, but it will be a much, much lighter lift in terms of what we actually have.
I have a quick question.
Shoot,
Will we have Microsoft 365
Oh.
emails tied to the?
no,
No,
that's,
it's not
they're
that,
just
okay.
giving us that for free, we don't want that stuff.
Oh, okay,
So Microsoft products can be a challenge.
okay.
I would prefer for us to work off of Google Space so that we can share documents and be
Okay.
working simultaneously. Microsoft has a lot of limitations in shared working spaces that I don't think are easy for us to get past,
I
okay?
think demo all of this.
Third item of new business, that we had was that, we are going to need to talk about fundraising for this organization at some point, right? And so what I wanted to plant the seed of today is we started off, when we created our strategic plan and talked through it at our last meeting by saying, hey, our form should follow our strategy, right? The structure of the organization should follow our strategy. So what was the first thing we did? That the most important thing that we can do is get involved in the community and do the work. So we set up a community service committee. That was our first committee that we established. We then said, hey, we need to do something else. We need to grow this organization. So we set up a membership committee. That was our second priority. Now, the reality in this world is we are going to need money to pay for some things, particularly if we keep growing at the pace we're at. Going to have to look at other spaces. I've already been to the Brandon Library. It can only hold, the meeting room can hold 50 people. We are inching up on that membership already. We're already in the mid-30s, potentially depending on renewals, all the way up to 40. We could be over 50 by next month.
The Riverview Library is a lot bigger.
Yeah, and so then we were going to check a couple of additional libraries. We have a Union Hall in Riverview that we may be able to get into.
HCC.
I'm on the library board.
Just raise their rates, unfortunately.
Yeah. One in Winfield,
That I don't know. I checked HCC just at Falkenberg.
now this is on Watson.
I'll check with that as well.
Region.
Okay,
Probably consistent though, with the,
They call it HCC as a region.
HCC is a region. Okay,
It's really small.
all right. So I will check that as well, and so that we can see, because we are going to have to think about our meeting location. We're gonna have to think about our meeting location, particularly as we grow, right? When we were only 16 people, this place was great. It's free. Free is awesome, right? When you've only got $11 in the bank, almost 12, you wanna have a free meeting space, or if you've got $1,100, you still want a free meeting space. But as we continue to grow, we start getting memberships in, we're gonna want to have some place that's a little bit larger that we can get access to. So we're gonna be looking for that.
In regards to that, Drew, when I first started coming to these meetings, maybe 10 years ago or something.
30 years ago.
Well, there's that, and we were in a restaurant, over by, what was the name of it? Barnacles, yeah, that, went bankrupt, so we had to leave, we didn't get to take anything with us. And then we've been in several different places, but I think everybody in the club, I found, like to go someplace where you get a drink and, you know, have a dinner or a sandwich or something. You know, I'm on the library board, you could get us any place you want, but having said that, you know, it's pretty limited on food and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's no alcohol there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we ain't going there. Well, I ain't going there.
To be fair, there will be some limitations depending on where we go, right? If we're in a library, you know, we're not gonna be able to be, down in beers in the library. Hopefully visit the library one time. So we are going to have some things that we'll wanna think about with that. What I would like to just plant the seed of for today is that probably our next committee is going to need to be a fundraising committee. So we can think about what are the things that we can do to try and raise funds in other ways. I know in the past, the club has done 50-50 raffles and some other things that have done well. I know the Women's Democratic Club does a 50-50 raffle, right?
Yes.
And so there are options for ways to be able to raise funds. Now, we will have to make sure that we're compliant with all of this, my CYA for the people who are watching the Zoom recording. Of course, we will make sure that we don't break any laws or rules. There are loopholes and there are ways. I've taken a look at it, so we have options for what we can do with that. Outside of fundraising, every year this organization has done a picnic. Usually sometime around May, is that right, Chris?
Yes.
So around May, we've got a picnic. We will want to start looking at getting that organized. We've got a grill master right back here in the
I got no
back.
problem. Long as I can drink.
So that can be a great opportunity to pair up with our membership committee. Say, hey, maybe we can reach out to some of those highly engaged volunteers in the Brandon area to see if they would like to meet us at that picnic. Come out, meet some of the Democrats in the club, right? It's a low risk thing. You can come meet. We already know the park where we'd like to do it. So the location is already set, but we're gonna want to start looking at dates for that. So we'll coordinate that with the board. Is that correct? We'll coordinate it with the board and circulate that date to everybody to make sure that we can do that. Yes, Mr.
I'll help you.
If we can try to get the shirts first, so we can start, you know, spreading the word, wear them to the.
That makes sense.
I think that would be great, so maybe later, May, I don't know if we have time, but
Okay.
that's my thought.
I'll see what we
On
can do
the
on that.
shirts, the DEC had one where the people ordered the shirts. And then went to there and got whatever it is, so they didn't have any inventory. I don't know.
Correct.
If they still have that.
Yeah, so what we will do is we will essentially build into the website a print on demand option. And so what that means is we will carry zero in. We will carry zero cost. It will be essentially a store where it will automatically create what the person orders in the size that they order from their donation. When it happens, which means we will have no carrying cost for it, other than a small cost associated with the maintenance through the website. Does that make sense? Yes, Susan.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
They send out the shirt or the hat.
Yes,
They send it.
they send it to them. We don't have to do any fulfillment. It goes straight to the person.
We don't have a lot of time. We usually have the picnic in May, but we need to do a date tonight.
Okay, we need to pick a date tonight.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at dates in May then, real quick.
Thank you.
You too, Emmett, Susan.
You have to coordinate with them.
That's the killer.
Number one thing is food, so Emmett, dates in May that are good for you?
Well, Mother's Day weekend is not a good weekend for us usually.
Later, May.
Yeah, so say 19th is good because after that, you go to the Memorial Day weekend. You don't want to do Memorial Day weekend either.
Correct.
Good. What day is, well, last year we went against,
17th is on a Saturday, you want a Saturday?
that's fine. But last year we went against,
Saturday,
Florida Blue. What is that?
24th is a Saturday.
What'd you say?
It was Florida Blue. Last year we. went
June
against-
20th, they're doing the thing this year, not Florida Blue, but it's June 20th, whatever. Yeah, I think that is Florida Blue.
I think that's Memorial Day.
You don't want to go Memorial Day weekend. We don't want to go against, you don't want to go against Florida Blue.
I think it's June 20th.
I gotta think, wait.
Yeah, I think it's
Do we
June
want to do
20th.
May 31st, the last Saturday in May?
That's Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day is the preceding.
Yeah, for previous weekend. You're getting
Sure.
caught. Memorial Day is the
24th, 25th,
26th,
26th.
the 31st is the last Saturday.
Oh, 'cause the Monday, right, the Monday, right, I'm
Yes.
thinking, you're right. That's why you're so smart, we like you. That's it.
Can the, can
Yeah, that's
Saturday
fine,
the
that's
31st
fine,
work?
that's fine.
All right, May 31st is the picnic, date is set, be, more,
That'll give us time for the
specifics will
church too.
follow here shortly.
No, we have no.
All right. We already talked about meeting location. We just want to flag one thing for everybody. If you know of any locations in the East Hillsborough area where you think they could house more than 50 people, I would love to hear about it. Because we're gonna have to find some place that can handle more than 50 people. And then just as a heads up, once we cross 100 people, we will then have an insurance requirement that we have to go get event insurance for every single thing that we do. So that's gonna be an added expense that we're gonna wanna keep an eye on, which is part of why my wife and I wanted to go ahead and start donations, so we can start building up a little bit of a reserve for when that insurance expense comes up. Does that make sense?
I just wanted to mention, while we're talking about time sensitive, and it is, what about the Brandon Parade?
I don't think they have it.
July parade.
Fourth of July Brandon Parade, yeah.
But there's no guarantee it's on this year. I haven't seen anything. They were supposed to cancel it last year. And then the group of them got together and said, we don't want to cancel this. So it ended up
Half.
about half the size of the normal parade. And, you know, I haven't heard word one about it, one this year.
It was really well
I'm guessing
attended, you
that
know,
it's still not, it's not happening this year.
and we had a big presence there for a
Yeah.
while, and I have a big RV too, you know.
So
Forgot about
if
that.
it's on, that's something that we can definitely, definitely talk about. But so just keep your eyes open for a potential location, for, any of these. For future meetings, anything like that. And with that, we are 5 minutes ahead of schedule. So we are running the most efficient Democratic meeting in history. Oh, hang on, we got a sidetrack. Susan. We have to what?
Announce the board.
Announce the board.
Introduce the board.
Oh, okay. You wanna do it, Chris?
Sure.
All right. We're gonna introduce the board and then we're gonna introduce Alan, who's gonna speak next.
Just stop that. Okay. Ready now, I'm good. The board of this club, we have Drew. And I have me, and the reason I'm wearing a mask, I was told my son not to share it with you.
We appreciate that. Yeah, Chris.
Now, I'm the vice president, then we have Mary, who does. We send out to all the radio stations, the newspapers when our meetings is. We have Walt, who is our treasurer. We have my wife Susan, who is assistant treasurer. Walt's wife Catherine, who is a member of the director at large. And we have Janet, who takes our meeting. Real fast there. Sergeant of Arms,
And Chris, the vice president.
That's great.
sends out the mail, that's me.
What are you? What are you?
I assisted with the membership when that, because I could do, I'm good with computers. And I do mobilize and
Okay.
Name it, he does it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all mobilized, all, yeah. A bunch of the tech infrastructure, what we've done so far is built by Chris.
Thank you.
I know,
Chris.
yeah, it's a thing.
All right, so let's turn this over to Alan. Alan Henderson is running for mayor of Tampa. And let's hear about why he's running and what he wants to do. Alan?
Hi, how are we doing today?
Great.
No, thank you to Drew.
It's not
Started for the House of College, and to you all for having me here. I really appreciate it. Also, sincere heartfelt congratulations on recently becoming, president of the East Coast Project Club. Everything around the applause for that. Go Drew.
I'm trying to turn this off for you, so it's not blinding you while you talk.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't see their faces, but,
Yeah.
on the side.
You guys can hear me okay? Is that fine?
Yeah.
I was,
There you go.
I did something.
Is that a little better?
yeah, no,
Much better.
thank you guys, I appreciate it. I often tell people.
Perfect.
That's what's going on.
Chris, what do we got going on here?
Let's see if I got the,
Here's a popular.
Oh, almost.
I'm not tall enough. Anybody taller? Perfect. Come on, step right up.
Let's see if Guy can get it.
is there a second button? There's not the
Press the
button I've been
button, please.
using.
There you go.
Yes, one more time.
All right, there we go. All right,
Dinner 18. There you go.
now we can hear from Alan.
Adapt overcome. There we go. I often tell people how much I really do appreciate being in spaces
Great job.
like this, filled with people who just kind of get it, who understand the urgency of this sort of current political climate, and who are committed to being a part of not just complaining about the problems, but the solution. And I really do appreciate that. Even just finding out that this was also a canned food drive, I thought was pretty grounding. So I will make sure we get some cans over to you. And I appreciate you setting the tone for the kind of service-oriented realignment. That's ultimately what drove me to get involved in politics at all. For those who don't know me, like Drew mentioned, my name is Alan Henderson. I'm currently the only candidate, one of the youngest candidates for mayor of Tampa. And the reason why I got involved is because when I look across Tampa, I see a lot of people that look like my parents, that look like my friends, that look like my family, that look like people I care about a lot. And the last thing I would want is our beautiful city get sold out to corporate interests, to greed, and to continue to see what's happening in Washington at a national level trickle its way down here to Tampa. Even just reading the reports of like Tampa PD being federalized by ICE and working with the national government to storm schools and raid churches. That's not the Tampa, I grew up in. I was born in Tampa General. I went to school at Williams Middle Magnet. I got my first job. We always at the legendary Burns Steakhouse. Working at the Harry Waugh Dessert Room as a host. I went to school at HCC for a little bit in Dale Mabry before I had an opportunity to transfer to the Harvard Community School of Government,
Wow.
where I'm currently taking classes in U.S. public policy, U.S. social policy, contract law, and pursuing 10 advanced credentials. The reason why I bring it up is not so much to mention where I'm learning, but what I'm learning and how we can channel these insights into really focused work, just like the work we're doing, you guys are doing here at the East Silver Democratic Club. Focused work that actually matters to the people. Focused work that's transformative. We call the vision the Tampa of tomorrow. It's a realignment away from not just the pretty buildings and this shoreline and the skyline, but on the people, and making sure Tampa isn't just a great city to be in, but a great city to live in across a variety of metrics. I want to also communicate that I very much understand the gravity of the undertaking. And I think it's going to take a combination of people who know not just where it is we've been, but where we're going to solve some of these decades-long issues that have predated certainly my campaign and predated us for generations. So that's ultimately why I decided to get in the race. We still have a couple of years. I'll be 26 by the time the election actually comes around. And so my ultimate goal is just to make sure that I am here and that we're listening and that we're focused on the issues that matter most to you all and the residents of Tampa. So having said that, I would love to take questions, but yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. I appreciate the hospitality.
I'll get your microphone running.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, who's got a question for Alan?
I should say I'm still very much getting used to this whole politician thing, so. bear with me.
All right, I'll start off. Alan, tell us a little bit about your professional background.
Absolutely. Well, so I did not come from politics or any kind of political machine, but I did come from a people background. I've been a community builder in Tampa for years. My first company was a marketing agency. We worked with clients like Frontier Communications in Tampa. We partnered with Champion Apparel, Disney, Felt Entertainment right across the corner. Working with these major brands, giving me a lot of leadership insights that allow me to believe that I can leverage a team like the one that we're building here. We're scaling a 90-person campaign. It's experts from legal sides, environmentalists, people who also are deeply concerned with the future of our city. I believe that combination will allow me to lead effectively and also work with the city council to solve issues that
One more question while everybody's thinking here. One of the things that we do to start off our meetings, is we talk about why we're here, right? We all are taking time away from our family, away from our home. To be here is because we care about something. And we ask people to narrow down, like, if you could fix one thing, why are you here? Can you answer that for us? If that's our question for the club?
But I fix one thing. It's a great question. I think a really great hallmark of a city, a really great foundation piece is just housing to start off with. I think if you could just afford a place to live, it's not going to solve everything, but a roof over your head certainly substantively does a lot of good. And I think that, you know, the current mayor says we're short 26,000 houses. That's a pretty high number. It's a pretty high number to say the least. And unfortunately, it's not a new number either. It's the same number that was campaigned on 8 years ago, and the same number that was campaigned on before that, or not the same number. It's higher, but increasingly high number. So I think that's where I would start. I feel like if we could build enough bridges and really focus our efforts on solving one concerted thing across our entire administration, it would be helpful.
Awesome. All
Yeah,
right,
that's-
we got a question over here.
Yeah, actually, along the same lines, I've worked for years at East and West Tampa in the schools, so I'm really familiar with the neighborhoods, and they've drastically changed due to gentrification and corporate interests. You said that's one of the things you wanted to fight against. How would you do that?
Great question. I think, so to speak to the microphone.
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of power in people. And I want to focus on being a real bridge builder. People ask me what kind of mayor, so I want to be a Democratic mayor. You know, the mayor's race is not hard. A Democratic mayor, Republican mayor, I think. I want to be Tampa's mayor. And I think that alignment on just focusing on the good, everything from this is a plan that we were writing out as we speak. I don't want to be the concept of a plan candidate. These are sort of things that we write about in our vision for the city, making sure that we are listening to city council, that we are working with all of them to align Tampa's interests with our goals of the administration. And so I think just being the person that can connect those dots and making sure that we are receptive to sort of the equity considerations across the entire city, I think will put us in a lot better position to solve these issues than maybe some of the political tribalism and some of the fights that have that existed before. So I'm hoping that that realignment will set a strong signal for what we want to accomplish.
Misty, you're next.
Thank you. What is your primary source of knowledge, wisdom, insight, all of the above?
We so far in this campaign, I've announced since January, and I haven't asked Tampa for a single dollar. We've not been because I believe that it makes a lot of sense to listen first. You know, the last thing it would be incredibly naive, I believe, to jump in and feel like I have all the answers, and as someone who's a political outsider and just walk in and snap my fingers and magically we have 26,000 new houses. I don't think that'll be the case. I think the biggest source of the wisdom is our ability to listen thoughtfully, be in rooms just like these, not just boardrooms, but classrooms. You know, I went to go speak at my local high school recently. Be in speaking with Tampa PD. I'll be doing a ride along in a few weeks. Just actually listening to the city, listening to CEOs. Our team has been meeting with executives across the city and leveraging their insights. And our plan is to build a vision that's built by Tampa for Tampa. And we think that'll be a comprehensive and hopefully engaging plan that'll but make us thoughtful considerations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a question in the back from Mike?
You know, we don't live in Tampa, we're out here in the boondocks, but we read a lot sometimes.
Sure.
And some of the things that I think in Tampa, that are the most important maybe issues, one is Tico. I mean, who can afford Tico and why should they get our support as our only supplier of electricity in this area? When there's several other people in the state that could come here and offer a competitive environment. Secondly, housing. There's so much building in Tampa, but who can afford it? It's certainly not the people who live in Tampa. You know? And thirdly, I think that, you know, there needs to be a city council of people who are community leaders, more than the city council that was elected. But I mean, like Hope and groups like that can do so much more than the elected people can, who are working under such constraints. And in my opinion, a smart guy like you, who really has his head in the game, could organize a community group in Tampa that represents not only the churches, but all the non-for-profit schools. I mean, there are so many great entities from the academies and different groups that you could put together a group of volunteers that could really know about and try to address some of the community issues, you know, from the bicycles and the kids getting arrested. I mean, everything from forever. I mean, Habitat for Humanity makes everybody feel good. But how many houses do they put out there compared to the need, which has to be 20 or 30,000? And those are just the ones. I mean, I was on the healthcare board, and you know, we had people that needed healthcare, but they didn't have an address. Anyway, that's my thought.
All right, so what I'm hearing from Mike's three statements is, how are you going to work to bring the community together in the broad, diverse coalition that we have in Tampa?
I appreciate that question a lot, and including the many levels to it. And believe me when I say that's exactly it. You can ask the team. That's what we talk about all the time. Understanding the real issues that matter to constituents across Tampa, away from the skylines and away from the cruise ships, to, like you just mentioned, Tico. And they just passed a law recently where they're allowed to raise the prices even more. Can you imagine that? Even more than they are now. It's beyond me. And, you know, I told the team these are kind of my personal thoughts. Obviously, when you get in office and you start working with Tico, they're gonna have their insurance and their attorneys, and I'm sure there's a lot of money and legal web and whatnot that it makes it a little bit of a easier said than done sort of thing. But I think the best thing you can do, the most important thing you can do, and to also speak to some of the other issues that you mentioned about being a bridge builder, is being laser focused on one thing, and that is addressing constituent concerns, period. And so my administration won't be the administration of, you know, a lot of luck for Tico to do more things for the community. I'll take 5 or 10 less parades if it means the costs get lower for everyday residents. So I just believe that kind of laser focus is what's gonna bring the win home. And
Welcome to you. Okay. So, Adam Lynch, pleasure to meet you. Just as a.
You gotta talk in the mic.
Yeah, just.
You gotta talk in the mic.
Just one, promise. As someone who's young myself, how do you plan on shaping the challenges of being so young, especially as Tampa?
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Like I mentioned, I don't necessarily think that being young is necessarily an obstacle. I think it can be an asset in a lot of ways. But it requires a great sense of humility. You have to truly understand that the people who have gotten this, you know, field well before I have, do understand a little bit about it. And I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of them on my team, a lot of them counseling me, a lot of them who also see the vision of a more pragmatic and thoughtful city. But equally, Tampa's next mayor also needs to understand where the rest of the country is heading in terms of, and quite frankly, the world, with technology, with the type of jobs that are being created, and the things that maybe some people who, like I said, know a lot about where we've been, might not have as many insights as to where we're going. But I do think that sense of humility and also speaking directly to issues that matter to all types of people, parents who don't feel safe letting their kids walk home from school in certain parts of Tampa, Students who can't afford a car, can't afford to live in Tampa, all types of these like homegrown issues, I think will be really relevant to a broad spectrum of people. And so long as you stay grounded and you stay focused, you will be able to reach those people. And I don't think their age will be inhibited to that.
Question back to that. It was mentioned earlier that none of us live in Tampa, so we can't give you our vote. But it just does raise the question, what can we do for each other? What can we do for you? What can you do for us? How can we help each other?
I appreciate that question. I really do.
And we do actually have a couple members from Tampa.
I
Yes.
live in Tampa.
I stand corrected.
I mean, I'm like right there. I live in Tampa.
I appreciate it, and that kind of speaks to why, you know, I feel like it was a pragmatic place to be here today. I think truly, it's gonna take an army. And I don't say that kind of proverbially. It's gonna take a real army, even to use the politics of 2011, that kind of put us in this position. My real sincere belief is, why would we re-elect kind of the same ideas and the same policies that got us here in anticipation that's gonna take us a different direction? But I think in order to thoughtfully communicate that, it's gonna take an army. It's gonna take as many conservative voices as possible to beat the millions of dollars that'll be raised against us. You know, we don't come from politics, but we do think, like I said, a 90-person team. These guys are they're really astute. Some of them are colleagues from Harvard, some of them work here in Tampa, and some of them exist in rooms just like these. But I believe if we get enough people who are focused on our mission, who follow our story thoughtfully, even if you're not donating, even if you're just liking a comment or picture, whatever it is, I do believe that the power is in numbers, and that if it could ever happen, it'll happen in Tampa.
And I would just like to flag, that's something that he's obviously walking the walk, not just talking the talk, right? When's the last time you saw a Tampa politician here in East Hillsborough
No.
talking to a room full of
wow.
people where maybe 3 people could vote for him, right? Alan's here because he cares about the community and because he wants to hear what the community has to say, and he knows what happens in Tampa impacts all of us. So he wants to hear from us too. And we should make sure to remember that when it comes time to support somebody, when we start looking at this election, that he came out and took the time to talk to us. So I'll tell you, when the next 2 people that I expect to declare, decide to declare, we got about a 0% chance of getting them to show up. We'll try, but it's gonna be about a 0% chance. Alan came to hear what we had to say. Next question is right here.
As mayor, how would you attack the climate crisis?
Oh, wow, million question. I should say, with humility, I do believe that the experts, especially some of them, you know, work at USF and the professors, contribute to the team's policy design. I should say with humility, that's something that we're still working to address. Some of the top issues that I think make the most sense is looking at the river, for example. We've been working with this really thoughtful company out of Sarasota, who, you know, builds these water robotics, for lack of a better term, that sample the water, that clarify it, and that would probably be a priority of my administration. Is to make sure that just the basics of the environment, things that it doesn't have to be polarized and to solving city issues. You know, there doesn't have to be any kind of secret agendas. And I think if you focus on just the tangible, impactful differences, that's what we'll be able to get it accomplished. As far as what those specifics are, I think I owe it to you to put together something comprehensive. And so what I would ask is that you keep up with my campaign, because I promise you we're writing it.
Question over here.
I was thinking, in your opinion, who do you think are the real power brokers in Tampa?
Trying to get it killed? I know. Rule number 1 of the deep state. You cannot talk about the deep state. I'll be interested to see how you answer.
Power brokers.
I think the current power brokers are financial and corporate interests. I think it's dollars and greed. I think the real power brokers are in the people and the power that we have collectively. So I believe that it's going to take all of us. And when I say this, I sometimes even my team, they're kind of shocked by the scale and scope of the kind of mission we have to take on. It's gonna take all of Tampa and maybe even beyond to get someone who's not focused on taking these crazy donations, who's not focused on greed, to be able to get into government and maneuver around a new city council, a new police chief, all the stuff that Tampa's next mayor is gonna have to put. It's gonna take an army, but if we do that, that's where the real power I think sits. And like I said, it can happen, if it can happen anywhere, it's certainly in our city. Of course.
We got a question in the back from Walt.
We watch the news every night, NBC mostly, and the local Tampa version of that. One of the things that really concerns me, I don't think there's a night goes by that there aren't several acts of violence reported on the news. I'm just wondering how committed we will be to doing something like that. And I'm not sure what the answer to that is. Banning guns would be the ideal, but that's not gonna happen. You know, with you, it's gonna have to take more than that. But I would just love to see it, the news in the evening and not see murders. And just tonight coming here on 301, traffic was backed up for miles because there was a shooting in Riverview. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous, the crime rates here. So I would hope you would commit to that and doing something serious about it.
So Walt would like to hear what your thoughts are on lowering the crime rate.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that question as well. I'm often asked, what does, and this is also something we write about in our Tampa Tomorrow vision, what does the first 100 people in the office look like? I think the top 3 priorities, if I had to list them down, are certainly the housing crisis, the transportation crisis, and then the crime epidemic. Tampa is still kind of broadly known outside of the city as a dangerous place to live. They compare us in lists with Jacksonville and Orlando, and like you said, it manifests itself in the headlines every single day. Tampa's next mayor, one of the earliest decisions that they'll have to make, because the current police chief's contract, the way they have it set up is pretty interesting. If you ever get an opportunity to read about it. But the point is that their current contract will be up, chief for a cost. And so one of the earliest decisions the next mayor will have to make is electing or appointing a police chief. And that police chief needs to be focused on not just community policing models that are effective, but also making sure that they're staying focused on their job. I'm someone who will, Tampa's PD needs to know that I will always have their back, because I understand that their job is very difficult. I understand that it's going to take tools and resources, and I'm focused on reducing crime. And part of that is also analyzing the specific type of crime patterns. Like, for example, in Tampa, assault and murder are pretty big ones relative to other jurisdictions. But we don't have, as big of a drug problem as some other cities have. So being really specific and targeted about the types of crime we're going to look after, making sure that we appoint a police chief that understands effective community models, and above all, making sure that they're staying focused on not raiding schools and churches and working with ICE and all these other kind of nonsense that they want us to get dragged into, but actually looking at the numbers and focusing on reducing those specific crime patterns that we can see spike year after year. I appreciate that. That's some truth.
We got a question in the back.
Hello, my name is Mark Hart. I'm active in the Democratic committee or club locally. Have you thought about visiting churches and those type of organizations to get your grassroots, continue to get your grassroots out? I went to your website on the phone. I'll make donations. That's something I make. I do believe that we got to get that technology out, but like they're saying, hey, we're out here in the county, we're looking for those people in Tampa, and we got to motivate them. We got to get different sides.
All right, Alan, thoughts on community involvement?
I appreciate that question as well. Yes, I hope to be in all the churches, not just the ones that are particularly privy to my faith, but I think you can find a lot of value in listening to diverse communities, and at a minimum, engaging with them, learning from them, and leveraging their insights to build a more thoughtful government. So I definitely think that's a big part of our strategy. We've been in churches already. We'll continue to be, growing that kind of grassroots momentum, and we're on a listening and learning tour, listening and learning all across the city to make sure we're really pulling in a diverse and as representatives, thoughtful that we can. I really do appreciate that. And equally, if anybody has, you asked earlier as well, how could we contribute even beyond just donating? And well, we do appreciate it, certainly. Connections, opportunities, and you mentioned that you're on the board of the libraries and all these different places. These are the kind of things, and I say this with great humility, which is kind of understanding what it's going to take to actually make this thing happen. These are kind of the places and spaces and people we need to be connected to that really win this thing. So if you even have an idea of a church that maybe our message would be particularly receptive in and or opportunities to go speak there, I would hope that you definitely get it to our team. We'll definitely do that.
Let's make sure that we really build on that, right? So many of us are involved in other organizations. We're in other Democratic clubs, caucuses, committees. There are places where people need to hear Alan's message, right? If we can make those introductions, that's how we can help his strategy the most, probably right now, right? Think about what he just said his strategy is. It's not to get the wealthiest people to give him the money so he can go buy the election. It's people power. That means he's got to get in front of a lot of people and a lot of groups like this. So if anybody has any connections to any other organizations, we can get Alan in. Let's make sure that we get that and we share that with his team. Okay? We have a question in the back, Chris?
Yeah, from Lauren. Lauren was asking you regarding your statement about not complying with ICE. Do you have thoughts about the possible response to retaliation that might come from the state government?
All right, so the one of the historic setup for that is in Hillsborough County, we have been targeted often by the state government, especially by Ron DeSantis, when there has been any level of pushback. Obviously now there is push to comply with working with the Trump administration and ICE. And so the question is, how do you plan to handle that type of pushback?
Absolutely. A really thoughtful question and a relevant one for what we're dealing with. I want to be clear. My statement wasn't that I wasn't going to comply with this. The last thing I want to do as mayor is drag Tampa and TV into a scandal with the federal government. But it's about aligning our leaderships, what we do have control over, on the priorities of the city. ICE can go take as many criminals out of Tampa, people that are harming the city, as they want. That's their job. That should be what they're doing. What they shouldn't be doing is fear mongering, and they shouldn't be, kids are in schools. These are the people that I'm focused on protecting. People in churches, people who aren't a danger to the city. And I think that if you appoint leadership who understands the scope of their job, who understands Tampa PD's specific mission, then you can work with federal authorities in a way that's thoughtful, but still addresses the real roots of the issues and doesn't sort of capitulate to, the fear mongering political games that they want to play. That would be my response. It's just to make sure we're focused on actual criminals, actual people who do dangerous crime in Tampa, and I'm sure Tampa PD will work with ICE thoughtfully to address them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. Howard Henderson is going to be running for mayor. Keep an eye on him and let's try and find some places where we can introduce him around. Maybe in the Southeast Women's Democratic Club, maybe some other places that we can find some spots where we think we can get it. Okay?
If I could just add one more thing, if our message resonates at all, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't lead you to hendersonfortampa.org. We want to build what we call the Tampa of tomorrow, a vision that's rooted by people, for people, and made with the people of Tampa. I would hope that you check it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we said we would be done at 8 and it's 7:58. That is the first Democratic meeting. The end of the meeting.
A motion to adjourn. Make a
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Second. All right.
All in favor?
Here we go. All right. It's nice to receive you.
I got up there and went right out of my mouth.
That happens to me all the time. I be with a client, I'm like, But I tried to go to Jefferson.